other boats, and then we have our own boat. And now we, that's a different experience when you're picking your own crew as opposed to when you just come on because you want to sail to Hawaii. I want to be an ocean racer, and that's what I want to be, and I became one. So it's been kind of fun that I've learned a lot about crew, and so this um, this talk today is actually a collaboration between my husband, Jim Quancy, and myself about what we really feel are important aspects of ocean race, of picking a crew and being part of a crew for if you're going to be racing to Hawaii. So this is, and so we double-handed in 2000, I think it was 14, and actually this was a picture of us actually going into the Golden Gate one time. So we've done double-handed. So I've had both the experience of double-handed and fully crewed. It's great both ways. Great both ways, and I'm glad we have a really large double-handed contingent this year. This is a picture of one of our races when my kids were a little bit younger. When I was thinking about this picture earlier, I thought about this really is a good a combination of several people racing. Of a good combination is crew. So Jim and I, my husband and I, had raced to Hawaii several times, and we were experienced and could handle the boat. And then you see there's a couple other people in here, John Dillow, who's in the audience today, and then Bob Nance, and Bob Nance won the Pacific Cup on his Newport 30 overall years ago. So, and my kids were fairly young, they were 13 and 15, but they had done a junior program. So we had new sailors, we had veteran sailors, and so we had a combination of everything, and that really made for a good trip. And the other part that was good is we had fun conversation. So we had skills and we had fun conversation. So that's, to me, what makes a good crew and a good combination going to Hawaii. So where do you get crew? There's all different ways you can get crew. And first of all, I think of people I know. People I've sailed with maybe on other boats. We sailed quite a few ocean races, the OYRA, going to the Fairlawns or going to up to Drake's Bay. And we met a lot of really nice people. So people you know. But also, even if you know them, you want to have kind of a personal reference. Understand where are they coming from, who are they, have an idea of a little bit more about them. But also, if you're really kind of new to this and you need crew, another place is like crew list. There will be a crew list here, right, Michael? There will be a crew list.
There already is.
For the Pacific Cup. So if you're looking for crew. Another thing is, there's always the Latitude 38 crew list. So that's another way. But so if you're looking for crew, I think for crews, there will be a crew list for this race. And if you want to be crew, that's how I started. I was actually one of the mentors back in 1986. They were boat nannies, they called us, and each of us had a lot of boats, and people were looking for crew. And I said yes, I'd go on this boat, and it was a start of a good sailing career. Another part that's important too is compatibility. Will this person be compatible with me? I'm not sure. So how do we do it? We trust but verify. We trust. What do we do? The best thing to do is to go out sailing. Is to go out and do that ocean racing. I found that to be the best thing. Go out to the Fairlawns. See if someone actually finds out they really don't like it at all. Or they do like it and they go, this is really great. So, or maybe go down to Half Moon Bay, go down to Santa Cruz or Monterey. And then you start getting a feel for it. And is this compatibility good? Sea under stress is really, really important. And when, this is one thing I learned when I was on the big boats when we were first in our first part of our career. The people that I thought when we went out were going to be the strong people turned out to not be those people. And the people who I didn't really anticipate would have the strength to do a good race to Hawaii, they ended up carrying the load. So you don't know. You don't know until you're actually undersea with people to see what's going to happen. And it's amazing. I truly believe that that long path is a very good way to start to say, is this group going to work together well, or is somebody just like, oh man, this isn't enough sleep. I just don't like this. I don't like the waves. And really, it's important to find that. I mean, this is interesting. And how do I do with sleep? I personally have sleep patterns where I need to get a little bit more than 4 hours. So if it's a certain watch pattern, it's hard for me. But if it's a different watch pattern, it's a piece of cake for me. So that's just, you just have to know what works. So I think this is, I like this slide because it just talks about, the important elements that we look for: integrity, sincerity, reliability, consistency, commitment to the program, and competence. This is something that's another part of trust that we've learned that has become really important, because we will often sail with some people who are new or people who don't know that well, but that's okay. It's okay. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that it's safe. So sometimes we have to ask some pretty tough questions. And these questions are a must, as we say, for a long voyage. And it's not a disqualifier. It's really, really important, even though it's hard to ask sometimes, if there are any chronic health conditions. Many of us know that a few years ago in the Pacific Cup, somebody went across and they had a very mild case of diabetes, very mild case. But because of the dehydration, they hadn't been eating well, their sleeping patterns changed, and they became dehydrated. Their diabetes really flared up, and then they ended up requiring a full medical care through our medical system, and people, there had to be a big airdrop of all this medical supplies to the boat, and the fellow, they did come in, but the fellow was very, very sick. So you have to know these things so your group can be prepared. And just know, if somebody has a history of seizures, epilepsy, heart conditions, if somebody has a pacemaker, I mean, it's not a disqualifier. You just have to know that they got their batteries charged, they went to the doctor, and things are fine. So this is the kind of things that that's important. If you have sleep disorders, it's not a problem. If you just talk about it. If you have a CPAP machine, that doesn't disqualify you, but it's important to know these things, because the tough conditions of this race can bring it out. I think that most boats and most captains will have a good understanding, a good medical understanding of what to do. When I first went out, I definitely read a first aid kit. I've now taken medical courses, and it's nice to have someone on board who's taken one marine medical course to do that. It also, because some things may come up at times, we found that it's important to have a really good sat phone, to know somebody you can call if you need medical advice. Now, if there are people who have some pretty severe medical issues, you might want to make sure, is this compatible with your goals? If you really want to have a full-on, full-out race, it may not work. But just to remember that you have to have this level of trust between you and your crew. The other thing is that people need to be safe, and that there is a level of discipline on board, that there's a captain, there's crew, and you have to do these things. Usually we have our own positions on board. In 1994, we went over on a race on a San Cruz 50, had a great time. It was another one of those where people pay to come on. We were the resident sailors. And, a judge came on, a neurosurgeon came on, and we had a lot of people who could be chiefs. And it could have been a real problem. But, after about 2 days, they realized there's no fooling around out here. The waves were big and that we all worked together. And so you always have to think about, you have to have discipline. You have to have people who are willing to follow the rules. Again, I think the long path would be a really good place to do that. And have just to know that this is a place where you do follow rules. And you have to think about those things. In crew, sometimes you have a professional sailor. And when I was thinking about this in the last couple of days, you can use a pro. When I consider a pro can be many people. Someone who can make your boat go really fast, and that's nice. But also a professional can come on to help you get across if you've never done it before. On our first race in 1986, I was with the 11 people. We did not know what we were doing. And so finally they said, you need a pro. And I thought, well, what does that mean? And the pro was this fellow, John Slivka, and he came on and he taught us how to sail. He taught us how to get up, how to manage a 68-foot boat, how to sail at night, how to do that. So that's one way to use a pro, is to teach you and keep you safe if you really don't know. The other thing, another way to use a pro is you have a Scott Eason type who's wonderful, Liz Bayless, and these people really can make your boat go fast. And so that's a different thing. But we still need to verify compatibility. They have to know what your program is. They have to be sure that the pro is aligned with who the crew is on the boat, so they can do the best job. Get references for your match. Usually you can find them for other people in the sailing world. So goal alignment is important. So are you laughing?
Yeah.
So when we talk about this, when you sign up to do a race like this, what are you thinking? Oh, I want to win. I want to get first place no matter what. Or do I just want to go across and have a good time with my friends? Do I just want to have a good, safe trip? Or do I want to be in the cruising class and never put up a spinnaker? Where do I fit? So it's important that I found after all these years that our different trips, we've had different goals. And so you have to, as a crew, when you're thinking about going on a boat, or as a captain, when you're putting together your campaign, you decide what you really would like. Does the skipper and crew have the aligned goals? And do you have a pro? And are the goals aligned? Are the goals aligned with the skipper and the crew? And we've had some pros that were really good. Sometimes it was really, really helpful. So I think goal alignment is important. So I know your goals and share with prospective crew. This is what I was just talking about. Is it a fun sail? Is it adventure of a lifetime? And would you like to place well, but maybe drop a spinnaker in the squall? Meaning that maybe at night when it's really scary, you put up a smaller sail, or you just put up a jib. And then, or you want to win all out. And okay, I'm just going to say, Michael, you've been on different boats and you've had different goals over the different years, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so when you do that, you think about the crew that you're going to have on board. And has that made a difference?
It's made a difference, and where it's been noticeable is where it wasn't well discussed in advance. My first race, I went with a couple of really hardcore round the buoy racers who thought we were going to put the spinnaker up the first night, and this led to some tension. First of all, because that's not when you put up a spinnaker. But since then, and I've gotten some of the people you mentioned up there, we've gotten our goals aligned, and it works out a lot better.
So once you really align goals with as a skipper and with your crew, the race results in more like what you had in mind.
Yes, I mean, whether it's fun or a trophy or both.
great. So, but you can always dream, and it's a great race. So what's important too here is that today is a great day listening to the different people speak today because they spoke about all the different needs on a boat. You need someone we need sailors who can do sail handling, but you also need people who understand the mechanical and the electrical parts of the boat. And I mean inside and out, because anything happens. One of the races, we had to replace an alternator. Other times we've been sailing and fixing up sails that fell apart. You just never know what you're going to need. It's always nice that, as Julia was talking today, it's nice to have someone organize the food and know how you want to cook, what this is going to be like. You need people who can drive the boat. In many of ours, we have people who can drive in kind of light wind, people who can drive up to 25 to 20 to 30 knots, and then those people who can go all the way from 30 until you practically crash. And so it's nice to have a little bit of all of those people, because you don't need to have everybody. It's nice that the better drivers, it seems to make their boat go a little faster. It's nice to have some young muscle on board. Having the younger boys, or now they're getting older, but it just helps. It's nice that sometimes it's nice to have women on board too. A lot of people do just men only or whatever, but having a woman on board, it can really, it's nice to have the different, just the different outlooks on things, and I think it's been really good. So fun, great conversation, good humor. I mean, I only have, even though there's been many a harrowing experience which comes on with it, I can think of so many good times. And I've made lifelong friends as crew from so many of these races. And if we've had fun, we've had conversation, because you have time to do that. It's really, really important. So the other thing is to match your boat setup with your crew. If you're double handing, a lot of people will use double pole jibe. They will just simplify if you just have a double-handed setting. If you have if you have more crew, you can do more intricate technical work. Also, I always think about how you're going to organize the inside of the boat. And I think this is where mentors could really be helpful. And I strongly recommend having a mentor. So like if you had somebody, if you're double handing in a 20-some foot boat, talk to Julia about how she organized the inside of the boat and how she organized her cooking. If you're going on a 40-foot boat, you can talk to my husband Jim or me how to organize it. If you're going crude, or Rowena, if you're going double-handed, it's really, really helpful. And there's all kinds of people who can help you with this. We're very. That's one thing about this race is you're not going it alone. So to just match up the setup, and just keeping your crew organized. And finally, I just want to finish just by saying these are the three things that we always think about: is compatibility, safety, and goal alignment. So that's what I have to tell you about thinking about crew, being a crew, or being asked to be a crew, or a skipper looking for a crew. Thank you. If there's any questions? Yes.
Yeah, I just want to pass along some advice from Bob Fine, Commodore Bob Fine, and this was during a big boat series, new boat. There was some old crew that came with the new boat. So we weren't getting along well with the program. We're happy with the program. And Bob confided to me, sitting in the bar, and this the bar was on that side. He said, Paul, never go racing with people you wouldn't go cruising with.
Yes.
I think that's almost all you need to know.
Any other thoughts? Well, I'm here till the end today and happy to talk to anybody. Take care.
Very nice. Do you want more raffle?
Should have a raffle?
Yeah, let's do another raffle.